Let's go to the ABC though now, and one of the ABC's flagship shows is plummeting in the ratings. Q&A recorded its lowest ever ratings last week, as Sophie Osworth reported in The Australian. At its peak in late 2014, it was attracting around 700,000 viewers per episode. Now it's down to less than a third of that, with about 225,000 viewers these days. OK, it's changed its night and its time slot, but the plunge was evident long before that. Like most programs, most news programs, it got a bit of a boost during the worst of the pandemic last year, but it's in a tailspin just now. So the question is, why the drop-off? And what's the answer? Could it be that what Q&A considers to be the big issues are in fact of little or no relevance to most Australians? Or that some of its woke takes verge on being ludicrous but are not treated as such? Have a look at some of the recent examples.
When the colonisers came and invaders came along, they brought with them the patriarchy, and the symptoms of the patriarchy and colonialism is misogyny, sexism, racism, discrimination, homophobia, transphobia. None of those things existed before the colonisers came.
I mean, China is doing what the Americans did, what the British Empire did. What empires get strong, whoever's financially doing that well, they grow and they try to, take over the world. This is the nature of things.
Courtney, you're someone that uniquely on this panel presents as both male and female at different times.
I think that there's maybe some misconception that there's ideologies being forced on young people. That's being used as a political sort of slogan, and that's not happening.
It's high quality,
this is a fantasy.
It's efficient, we can deliver it efficiently, and that's why people buy it.
Do you read the news? I mean, have you noticed what's going on in Washington? I mean, seriously. Seriously, Keith, what are you doing? Are you just reading the Daily Telegraph and watching Sky News? I mean, is this some kind of coal-hugging bubble?
Sophie, it's the same old green left or woke issues with the same old woke take on them. Don't you think they'd wake up to that?
Well, Chris, really, Q&A is in absolute free fall, and I've written many stories about this over the last few months on the dire ratings, and ABC are having to review what this show is going to do. The Thursday night time slot is not working. Some could argue the host is not working, Hamish McDonald taking over from Tony Jones. And the topics, Chris, I mean, are they relating to what people really care about? And I think they are not, because the ratings show that fewer and fewer people are tuning in to this heavily skewed leftist program that I believe is not a balanced program that allows people to fairly share their views.
Yeah, look, I've got to say it's barely watchable now, Louise. I watched a week. Normally I'm busy writing on a Thursday night, but a week ago I watched and they had Malcolm Turnbull and others arguing on climate change and attacking Keith Pitt. And always the Conservatives there are to be mocked or attacked, which is kind of strange because we see in election after election that it's mainstream views that win out. Yet on Q&A and many other ABC programs, it's mainstream views that are mocked and derided.
Absolutely, Chris. It's, it's I guess it's the whole go woke, go broke syndrome, isn't it, as well? And the average Australian tuning into Q&A on a Monday thinking, OK, what are the key issues of the week? What do I think of them? Let's hear some reasonable commentators talk about them and see if I share their views. That's not going to happen. OK, yes, the show is now Thursday, but as Sophie says, it has no relevance to the man in the street who's concerned about keeping their job, protecting their health from COVID, seeing their family. There's no issues or policy debate around those critical things. It's all the leftist agenda, which the average person's completely bored and frustrated with.
Yeah, it's spot on. So what about, here's a radical idea, Sophie. Say I'm executive producer of Q&A for next week. Now, here's a radical idea. Most weeks, as you know, it's overwhelmingly left. The guests are overwhelmingly green left. And that's not even counting the host, who, of course, is green left. What if they actually tried to flip it around and had sort of 4 mainstream right-of-centre people, not the freaky Conservatives that they like to really pick on, but some mainstream Conservatives, 4 of them, and maybe 1 lefty supported by the host. Maybe that would change the dynamic. It'd be more representative of Australia and it might be a more interesting chat.
Well, Chris, firstly, I don't think you're going to get the job, but you never know. Never say never.
I'm glad. I've got a little bit too much on my plate.
However, in saying that, I think you're right. I think something needs to change, and I think the pile-on for Conservatives that come on the show is shocking to watch, and the crowd is heavily skewed left, and I think they're completely missing the mark. They are not representing mainstream Australians, and it's not a balanced program. So something has to change here because the show is not working. And Chris, I believe if it's going the way it is, before the year's out, this show will be getting under 200,000 viewers an episode, which is absolutely catastrophic for the ABC because for so long this has been a show that they've held as one of their pinnacle political programs.